There's more pain for gold coming. How low can it go? I'm your host, Steve Van Metre, and thanks for joining me for part 2 of the Sunday chart show, where we take a look at the technicals and momentum of the metals, miners, dollars, and bonds. Let's kick this off with gold. As many people know, I've said it can go lower, but just how low? Well, we're now looking at the momentum indicator. The RSI, or relative strength indicator, is sitting below 40. That's our key number. If it's less than 40, it means momentum's a downside. And notably, momentum broke below 40, and we see price headed down, down, down. But now maybe there's some hope. It's an oversold territory, which happens when it's below 30. Traders look for this because they think it's an opportunity to buy. But remember, stocks can be oversold or overbought for much longer than people can hang on to, and here we can see it's sitting in oversold territory, just bouncing off. Price moving up a little bit, but is that the end? Well, let's take a look at the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence strategy. Notably, the MACD, the black line, is now looking to make a positive cross through the signal line. In fact, they are indeed tied right at that point, but this is right now just a shallow move. Could be just a short-term cross before it rolls over. Let's take a look at Momentum Timer Pro, which blends 3 signals, its own proprietary signal, plus an RSI over 40, or a positive cross on the MACD. And notably, what it's telling us is that gold is in a downturn. How do we know? Because the 1, 3, and 6 month signals are all saying none. And then you have 19 consecutive days of sell signals. So if you needed help on to get out of a trade, well, it's telling you, look, hey, this thing is headed down and it's in a broad downturn. Probably avoid this thing until something changes. These dailies flip to a buy. If you're new to the show, well, you can sign up for Momentum Timer Pro for free. There's a link in the corner and in the description below. Now, as far as how low can gold go, well, many people thought it was going higher due to inflation, but notice it's at this critical level, this dotted purple line that I've had here for eons, and it's at 1687. That is the critical point. You see a beautiful looking topping pattern, double top, telling us gold probability is headed lower as sellers dominate here. Where does it go? Well, most people think 1500 is the first point where it stops. That is likely because you can see that's the point where people have last traded kind of a fair amount, but not a lot. You notice the volume popping out here. We've got our volume profile turned on. You got 1450 to the downside, but look at 1300. What do you see? That's where your major volume's traded. That's where I think it eventually heads. Could go a little bit lower, but there you go for gold. And it's not just gold is headed down, it's the gold miners are looking terrible too. How about GDX? Everyone's been bullish on both the metals and the miners, and now this thing is just hovering right over an RSI of 30, sitting at 34 right now. Not quite oversold conditions, but momentum clearly to the downside. Price clearly headed down lower with it. MACD has now a little bit of a positive cross, but that's not going to do enough to turn the tides. Momentum Timer Pro, 27 consecutive sell signals and validated downturn. You got 1 3-month signal at none, 6-month at minimum probably will flip to none here at some point. Let's take a look at the charts for GDX, because this too will head a lot lower, and you can see it kind of just held up right here around 25, and there's a little just tiny bit of volume peeking out. Look at the major volume here on the 5-year chart. It's down at 22, in the 22 range, telling us price could easily get down to this broad supply zone right down above 21 before it finds a heavy amount of buyers. If it breaks through there, watch out below. Could be a generational buying opportunity if it breaks through there again. It's clearly telling you there's a liquidity crisis, and the likely path right now for the miners is with gold headed lower. Again, tells you we're facing a liquidity drain in the markets. How about silver? Same story there. Maybe it's just really just a story of the dollar going higher. RSI is at 31, just now coming out of oversold territory. Price going nowhere. And again, suggesting momentum to the downside, price to the downside. How about the MACD? A little bit of a positive cross here, but that may not last long. Momentum Timer Pro, 20 consecutive sell signals daily on the sell, 6-month signal going to none. Telling you, if you're in this, you probably shouldn't be, and maybe better off waiting for the dailies to flip back to a buy, or maybe even the monthlies to give you a signal that's a bit stronger. Let's take a look at silver here. And what do we see? Came down to the supply zone at just above $18, to around $18.20. Came down, found some buyers. It's rebounding off there a little bit, but notably, we're here. We are on the 5-year chart, and what do you see? The supply zone tells you 17 is still the place to be, and even then, that may not hold and send prices down into the 16 or even worse, $14 range. Let's zoom in here a little bit. And what do you see? Sellers over the last 6 months above, very weak in terms of buyers here, perhaps even more people selling coming in. Typically what happens when price goes down, people sell. Downside risk to silver as well as the other metals and miners. How about the dollar? Well, the dollar continues to go higher, and we could see that even though the RSI here is slowing and price is down with it, its momentum still positive. It's at over 40. It's sitting at 54, so momentum still positive. How about the MACD? You can say, well, look, there's a cross to the downside. Well, there was a cross to the downside, and that was just a brief pullback and a broader move higher of the dollar as we face a dollar shortage. How about Momentum Time Pro? Maxed out on the monthly signals, and remember, it's given you 29 days ago. If you weren't in it or were in it and looked for a re-entry for a place to add, well, it gave you one 29 trading days ago. Let's take a look at the dollar charts, because UUP, well, the problem is there's not enough history here. We can go to the max chart, and what do we see? This thing is only going higher. Beautiful bottom right put in here. Everyone said no way, so we got to go to the DXY. Well, we got some more history. We see a brief pullback here. Not surprising. We said it would get up to 107. It did. And now we're looking for a pullback. How far back? Well, I would say right in here around 103, or how about 104 would not be off the table. Maybe on the shallow end, you'd be looking at around 105. So look for a pullback here of the dollar. It's on its way higher, perhaps upwards even to 120. If it gets there, could easily break out and go a whole lot higher. All right, let's take a look at bonds, which are breaking out as well, following the dollar higher. Again, consistent with what you see in a dollar shortage. If you need dollars to be created, there's only one market to do it. That's the bond market. When people borrow, rates got to go down. RSI at 61. We see momentum building here. Not at oversold conditions at 70 yet, but still momentum's moving higher. Price is moving with it. MACD had a positive cross, took prices higher with it. Momentum Time Pro gave you a signal 20 trading days ago, and then recently it gave you the golden signal where you see the 3-month flip to a minimum, and the 1 month has to be at a minimum or higher. It did that, and unlike the IWM signal from earlier, what you're looking for in a bottom is more time. And you can see, if you look at a bigger picture, compared to IWM and say TLT, there's a lot more time down here. And that's what the signal picked up and said, look, if you're not looking at this, that's what MTB does. It scans over 100 ETFs every day and says, look, here's some signals to look at. It gives you probabilities where entry points are. Sure enough, it found this one. And what do you know? What do we see? 21-day moving average. It crossed up, confirmed. Went up higher, confirmed, and is going higher. How about the 50-day? Crossed it, flattened the thing out. That's good. Confirmed the top side of it. Price headed higher. This is what you want to see. Where does it go from here? Well, there's not a lot of trading here. Look for the next point to hold it up. I'll say right around 122 here. And then from there, it's quick sailing back up here into the 130s. So this is an easy position. Momentum Time Pro nailed it. And all you had to do is sign up for free. Amazingly, for now, going paid, but you'll see. All right, how about the energy sector? We see the RSI back over 40, but it's moving back to the downside. It was, momentum was weak here, under 40, got a little bit of lift, brought prices with it, and then it's almost as if the energy reports came out this. The inventory reports for energy came out, and all of a sudden price started to head back down on the data that the economy and the global economy is slowing. It's trending back down. MACD has a positive cross, but it's looking pretty weak here. And how about Momentum Time Pro? Well, you can sign up and you'll get your next report on Monday, along with the research from Jeff Snyder and Tracy Schuchart, our resident energy and materials expert. How about we look here at XLE? It's holding this line that we've drawn in before, a little bit of support here. We see sellers over the last 6 months above, sellers or buyers down here the 1 year below. That's a good sign. Let's zoom in. 90 days, sellers above. How about 30 days? Sellers largely above here. It's kind of a neutral ground, duking it out. But historically, as we pointed out, when you get these big upthrusts in the energy sector, there's going to be some consolidation. People are going to come in and on the news and they're going to say buy, 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 and then the floor is going to fall out. So we're pretty close to that happening. Maybe another couple of weeks, who knows? But we're not far off from the energy sector breaking down. And with that, I'm your host, Steve Van Metre. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being fans. We'll see you back on Monday. Bye now.